Empower who?
Empower me!
All right. So, you already brought it up. I had it in my questions anyway. Who talked to you about relationships and romance and?
I just watch TV.
I was gonna say, or what's that trial and error?
What was that first relationship like? Like, I'm curious. Like, so what was it? Were you in care when you had that real first relationship, or was it?
No, it wasn't until college where
Really?
I actually was in a real relationship. Woo! That shit was intense. I mean, that's when I really saw like myself.
Yeah.
Shorty, I got trauma, like real trauma. Like, so that was really difficult, and also just struggling with like my sexuality. Like, I knew I was like gay and into girls, but I never explored it because when you're in foster care, they're like, boys over here, girls over here. You know what I'm saying? or just keep it separate. Nobody's sleeping in the same bed. Even if you sleeping over, this person sleep right here. So, like, that was always, like, difficult to be, like, close to someone, especially, like, in a relationship. It was just weird. And then once I got into a relationship, it was just like, okay, we're dating. Okay, we're living with each other. And
just that fast?
Just that fast. Like everything happened so fast because it was like I never had someone who wants to be around me. So
you're like, soak it all in.
Yeah, I was like, you love me, and it was
like,
really
be careful.
No.
Are you sure?
No. And it's really hard to tell the difference between what is love and what is not. Like, I still don't fully know what that is. But you can, when you have, especially a lot of emotional neglect, when you do find someone that you want to have a relationship with or establish something with, sorry, I'm doing a live video.
It's fine.
But when you do find someone that you want to, like, establish a relationship with, everything happens so quick. It's quick. It's just like, okay, we're friends. Okay, we're dating. Okay, we're living together. Okay, we're doing this. So I didn't really understand, like, how to have a relationship with someone and how to have a healthy sex life. Like, I just remember being in high school, sitting in a sex ed class, and they're teaching us about gonorrhea, and I'm like, what is this? Like, this is weird. Like, like, my favorite movie is, like, The Notebook, so, like, that's all I know.
Gosh, is that, like, every girl's favorite movie?
No, Kill Bill is my favorite movie.
Okay, you gained some points with me.
I was going to say, check it out if you don't know what I'm talking about. Kill Bill, Volume 1 and 2.
Okay, cool.
And 2.
I agree. That's a good movie. But, like, it just makes sense for me to have a favorite movie like that because, like, I never experienced it. I never seen it with my parents. I never seen my parents together. I never seen two people together and they're working it out and they're together. Even, like, when I was staying in different foster home, it was always, like, the one lady. You never saw a single father foster care, person. Like, that was not a thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of
discrimination.
Yeah, it's interesting. So
it raises a lot of questions when it's a single dad wanting to be a foster parent. And I don't even understand why, because I'm like, there's single dads out there that, moms don't do their part and they have to pick up that slack. Right. So I don't know why we would turn away dads who want to be that father figure.
Honestly, you know what I think that comes from? Just a lot of kids experiencing sexual abuse
from fathers. Yeah,
I feel like also that has a thing of a issue that stems from people having those relationships when they get older, because I've experienced it. A lot of kids in foster care experience sexual abuse at a young age, whether it's like a weird foster brother or like, I don't know. I've heard of some girls tell me about their foster parents being a little weird, but definitely I feel like that is like a big thing with like young girls with an older man, like because they're pretentious or, they're, you know how the younger girls in foster care are, their sex drive is just like a little bit more, especially if they experience sexual abuse. So.
And they know a little bit more than
than
average female. So
right. And especially like, I don't know, I just thought that was like an interesting pattern that you like everyone kind of knows, but no one talks about.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I feel some type of way, and just on that part, it just makes me think that for most males, if they were sexually abused by a female, they probably wouldn't tell it anyways. Or
because they became a man.
Yeah, they became a man at that point in time. It's that,
even if they're not even realizing, like, oh, that's sexual abuse, but I'm getting cool points. Yeah. And it's like for a girl, it's like, oh, you're over sexualized now, or can't put her in certain situations because she's gonna react this way, and it's like,
and even the consequences are like totally different.
Totally different.
So
like, what do you mean you got this girl's number and she's over here now being called a hoe? Like, how is it two different extremes?
It is, especially when I was in the Gwinnett group home, and it was like boys and girls. When you're in the boys and girls group homes, you just see like some interesting energy going on, and energy exchange between the boys and the girls. And it's kind of like, with the boys, they're definitely treated differently when it comes about sex and having relationships with the girls. Yeah. And then the girls are just kind of like always shunned and always kind of like, well, it's your fault, and you
can't date till you're 30.
Like,
lady.
What?
They're 30. They're women. It's a natural thing.
Right.
So,
and especially in the Bible Belt. Like,
oh my God. Oh my God.
So it's funny though, because it's just like, why can girls not have the conversation that guys get?
Oh, you talk about conversation.
We're talking about protection. We're talking about you being sexually active, and it's like, I remember starting as a case manager. That was like the one topic I was like, can somebody else take this over? And and then it's like, no, I have to talk about masturbation. I have to answer questions about getting your period and what that looks like, and condoms,
that's an awkward
and
one.
Yeah, because it's just like, I don't want my kids to walk away not feeling like they're not educated about what goes on outside of being in foster care. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're gonna meet girls in foster care, and yes, we have the restrictions where you can't really be on a date without somebody being there to watch you, or her coming to the house. I need to know about this, or you can't close the door, or
like RPPS this.
It's literally like, this is your checklist, and all these things need to be checked, and then she can come over. Yeah. So I'm just like, especially with my teenagers, I know you're a teenager. I know you don't want to feel like you got to respond for where you're at, who you're with, why you're there, how long you're going to be there, who's going to be there. I get it. And so, in that aspect, it's just like, look, you can talk to me about anything. And some of my kids are like, don't lie. And I'm like, no, you can literally talk to me about anything, because at the end of the day, kids talking with other kids about sex, it is a very frightening thing. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to get pregnant.
I've seen it. It's
like that sex talk where he's like, Mean Girls, where he's like, don't have sex sitting down, don't have this standing up,
or you're going to die.
Got these condoms. And I'm just like, I don't want it to be like
sex,
that.
You're going to die. Yeah. I just, for me, like, I never wanted to have that conversation, so I would wear a purity ring. I'm like, I'm a virgin. Please do not give me condoms. I don't want to have that conversation. Like, that's how I dealt with it. I was just like, I'm a virgin. I have a purity ring. Please don't do this. Please do not. Because I've had a few caseworkers where I would meet them and they would just bring like a box of condoms, and I'm just like, please.
On the first meeting?
On the
first meeting?
Yeah. Especially when you're staying in the group homes where there's boys and girls, or you're in a foster home where there's other boys and girls, and
That
there's like
means that
10
they
of y'all.
know they didn't have supervision, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, to already go out the gate with that.
Yeah.
That's a little
That's a
concerning.
judgment on that's a judgment on the placement, not the kids.
Right.
Because the kids are
Ooh, child.
hormonal already. You
and it's
sit your ass down and make sure that you're doing your job first.
right.
Yeah,
So,
Shorty came through with the condoms, and I'm just like,
No,
that's awkward. I really don't want to have this conversation.
No, that's crazy. I literally have. So I have one of my babies, because I call them my babies. Those are my babies. So he's like, yeah, this girl. And I was like, what about this girl? What's her name? Where she live? Where she at? How you see her? Where your mama be at when you see her? And he's like, no, it's not like that. And I was like, okay, so do we need to have this talk? That's usually to just go out the gate with condoms. It's like, take them.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you don't
no.
even know, like, you don't even know.
Yeah, I'm
me,
like, let's have a conversation. Like, do you see it going that way? Do you want to have this talk? Do we need to have this talk? And then I'm also just like, at the same time, STDs are real. Pregnancy is real.
Right.
A lot of girls, I feel like that energy and just that thought of it is because I know, because, I've said, and you're always around the girls.
Mm-hmm.
I know so many girls who got pregnant in foster care. And then they had the situation with the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then that is a whole nother dynamic of just like something that's hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But it happens a lot, like a lot. Like I cannot remember being in a foster home or a group home where there wasn't like girls who were just pregnant and they got pregnant in foster care and their lover stays at another group home or another foster home or something like that, or maybe they just have maybe the father of the baby just goes to the school or something like that. So it's like, I feel like that stems from that, like the lady just coming with a box of condoms because maybe she had a few pregnant girl.
I'm like, I'm not condoning it, but I'm like, look, safe than sorry, because you still have the rest of your life to live. And I'm not saying that having a baby is not a wonderful thing. Just, you're 13.
Yeah.
Like live life and get some experience under your belt, knowing that everything doesn't have to be sex. Everything doesn't have to be, this just hyper sexualized environment.
Yo,
and I like,
they be wildin'. They so sheltered, so they're like,
it's just like to get that little bit of freedom.
It's a scapegoat.
Yeah,
it's a scapegoat, especially having a sex addiction at a young age. Like, whew, I don't even know that life.
I don't know that life. So
I've met some girls. In foster care who is lit, and that's how they cope with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a safety net for them. But also, I know most girls like that do probably struggle with sexual abuse at some point in their life, whether they were young or So that's interesting.
Wow. So. Yeah, that took a turn.
It did.
It did. Start talking about relationships. You gotta.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was no conversation for me because I had that purity ring on. Like, please don't do this to me. I can't.
Gotcha.
I'm not even focused on that.
So, all right. So, your first minute, hour out of necessarily a group home or foster care into college, that first 24 hours, what was that like?
Yo, it's art school. I went to art school. So it was lit. Like, it was people dressed up in cosplay. Like, I never really seen that before. No, it was lit. Like, it was so lit. I think the first day I was at college, they had Pride in Savannah. So we went to Pride. My friend was like a furry. So she was just like weird. So she was just like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, then we're going to go here, then we're going to go there. So I didn't really have no crazy like drunk or like party. And I was just like with the weird, like super weird people. So it was just like everything I imagined art school to be. So I
You
was
met
just
your
like,
tribe.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just like at home. I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Went to Pride. I met a drag queen for the first time. So I was just having the time of my life. So, but in a weird way, it was kind of like, kind of miss my foster home. You know, I had that moment, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I've been
Like, and scene.
So curious. What is either an anime character that totally relates to you, or anime character that you like totally like?
Frieza from Dragon Ball Z.
Really, Frieza, Golden, or a regular? Just
Both.
base. Really?
Both. They're like both like one's my personality, and then the other one's my other personality.
Really?
Like to the T. Like I don't feel like Frieza is a bad guy. I feel like the bad guys are really the good guys, and the good guys are really the bad guys.
No, you did you watch the last one where he said I don't care if you resurrect me, I'm still gonna be me. That's what he said. That's what he said. He said I'm still gonna be evil.
No,
so,
is evil really evil?
Whatever. Don't
Frieza makes me question
don't
things.
Jedi mind trick me.
Right. Wait a minute. I'm just like, Frieza, what's the story? I feel like Frieza really just from the slums. Like he just build himself up.
Oh, whatever. We're probably gonna have to host a whole Dragon Ball Z watch party. It's probably gonna take like 2 years.
Everyone hates me when I say like I like villains and stuff. I don't know where it comes. I think it's that rebellion inside of me that's just like, yeah, kill them, destroy the main character.
Well, some villains have a like it'll make you think because I respect Magneto. Like Magneto was all about his people. He didn't want drama, but like he'll bring it to you. And even what's the Garo off of One Punch Man? Mm-hmm. Like he was like, these are monsters. Like they just want to live in peace or whatever. Their methods may be out there, but like
it makes sense.
Yeah,
there's a method to their madness.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I like to hear the backstory.
And so,
yes.
And so for some of you adults who may be listening and are not tuned into what kids are watching and listening to, anime or kind of like Asian or Japanese cartoons, and they are like.
That's where you really get exposed.
They're really good, and a lot of the kids they relate to some of them. So if you look at a Naruto, kids know how Sasuke and Naruto feel, or if you because Naruto lost his family and stuff like that, and Sasuke lost.
Deep.
Yeah, like it is so deep. And people they want to be like Yagami from Death Note or what have you. So if you see a book on somebody's on one of your kids' table that's called Death Note, don't take it personally because it's an anime. It's nothing serious. I would advise for you to be more involved.
I recommend it highly.
I think it's definitely a conversation starter.
Yes, definitely. So let's bring this back. Bring this back. So for SCAD, how did that turn out for you?
The first quarter was really amazing.
And SCAD is Savannah College of Art and Design.
Yes, I went to Savannah campus. The first quarter was amazing. I didn't have to worry about paying nothing. I got food. They were sending me care packages. You know, when you first go into college, you get more money. Mm-hmm. But the way IOP does it, the older you get, the less money you get. Mm-hmm. So that was really hard to deal with because by the time I got to my second quarter, I used all my money from IOP for my first quarter at SCAD. So I had to find a co-signer to help me with my last 2 quarters so I could finish my freshman year. But I had trouble finishing my freshman year because of money. Then the living because I'm going to like one of the top art schools,
right.
And
I thought
my like staying on campus was like $15,000 just to stay on campus. So by the time I got to my last quarter, I bought my first house on my own. And I tell you, I was working 3 jobs. Like, go to this job, go to this job, go to class, and then go to job, you know? So it was just, like, crazy. Like, It got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this, you know? And then it was like, every time you get older, you get less money. So my experience wasn't as when I had my first quarter there, which kind of sucked because it was kind of like, I felt like IOP should just pay for the whole freaking whatever. And then it's just like, oh, you got to finish in 4 years. You got to finish in 4 years because the money runs out. I'm about to be 25. So that means the IOP funds are going to stop. So it's like that pressure. And it's like me, the type of person I am, the type of artist that I am. And then also dealing with homelessness and mental health. I'm just not going to finish in 4 years,
Right.
So I had to make a really hard decision to leave SCAD, and then I transferred to Georgia State. That was probably one of the hardest things that I went through because, even though I dropped out of SCAD, I was working, but I was really depressed, and I was just going through a lot. And the only people that really helped me was like some people from SCAD that I had knew and worked with, like built relationships with them through like work and internships and stuff like that. So it kind of hurt me because it was like, even now being in the industry that I do, it's like people won't really be there for you in that field, like unless you have some type of social status, so it wasn't like I could pick up the phone and just call my foster mom to help me, or like I know a lot of IOP people be like, hey, you could just reach out, but that's really hard. That's a really hard thing for me to do personally, is ask for help. So that's why I was like, I'm gonna work 3 jobs. I'm gonna just try to take 1 class a semester, but it would have took me 10 years to finish my undergrad at SCAD.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to transfer to Georgia State, is where I'm going now, because shit got real fast. Like,
what does that mean? What does that look like? So
I lost my house, my first house. I lost my first house.
So you didn't stay on dorms. SCAD didn't have dorms or anything?
I did the first 2 quarters. I could afford that, but the last quarter I couldn't do it.
SCAD is expensive.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I got kicked off the dorms. I tried to fight it because I'm like, hey, like, if I don't stay here, I'm going to be homeless. So 2 of my close friends at the time, we bought a house, but then I lost the house. And then I ended up getting a place with the person I was dating.
Bought or rent? I'm curious.
Rent.
Oh, okay.
Rent. I didn't actually.
I was like, geez, like teach me something.
I didn't actually own the house,
Okay.
but so I ended up losing that situation. It didn't really work out because, like I said, it was hard for me to keep relationships and communicate. So that situation, living there with them, didn't work out. So I went to go get a place with the person I was dating, which was a terrible mistake because
Really?
we were not dating for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that transition was hard because it was like, dang, I really love this person, but if I don't stay with them, I'm going to experience homelessness. And I feel like that's kind of how it led to me now experiencing homelessness. And like just the transitioning, it was never smooth. It was like, I need someone to help me,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like, it was very hard to understand. Like even now, like I struggle with trying to plan to avoid being homeless and try to figure out a plan to transition smoothly, because it's always been like, when the quarters end, when the holidays start, I got to figure out somewhere to go.
Right.
So that part was like, that's always going to be a constant struggle for me.
Yeah, so actually that was going to be my question, my another one of my questions, but I did want to circle back around to what you were speaking of when you said that that IOP, and IOP stands for Independent Living Program. When IOP only pays based on your age, you was thinking about the ETV, or Educational Training Vouchers, correct?
Right.
And I know for years, Empowerment, we fought for the Title 20, what was it? OCGA 20, Tag 3, Tag 660, that said that any youth in foster care go to any Georgia public school, no cost or no expenses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so I know that's one of the things that we fought hard for, and it's still on the books. But I know right now everybody's pushing the ETV, which we want to make sure that kids know about, but we also want to see if we could kind of hit that unfunded mandate for the Title 20 too. So
yeah, that's the reason why I'm in school. I feel like, because like I said in the beginning of the podcast, like I don't feel like I had a choice. Like it was like either I'm gonna do this or I'm not gonna go back home with my mom. Yeah. I'm not gonna go live with a family member.
Yeah.
So even when I had to take a break to try to figure out my situation, find somewhere to live and stuff like that was a struggle because it was like, if you're not in school, you don't get the ETV, renter's assistance. And at the time, when I was struggling with paying my SCAD tuition, I decided to just take one class so I can get that renter's assistance. But then it's like, you got to be full time. And at the time, it was really hard for me to say, hey, I can't handle all these classes. But it was like, I'm going to get less money. And how I'm going to sustain myself. I can't work and go to, like, work a full-time job, work 3 jobs, and go to SCAD. Like, woo! That was heavy. Like, I was like, all right, I need to go to a different school that's a little bit cheaper. I was gonna ask. So, I know that's one of the things that bothers a lot of kids, and kids don't generally know, especially when they're going to traditional schools, is the importance of having that plan for breaks. Because I know one of the things that scared me. So I told y'all at the beginning of this podcast that I had a brother who he was the oldest of his tribe or whatever, but he graduated a year or 2 before I did, and he would call back and ask for our allowance, especially during like the spring breaks, the Christmas breaks, and summer. And it was like, dude, you free? Why you calling back? And like what he didn't know, because apparently at the time when he was dropped off, he was literally just dropped off at the college, and the person just left. Like, that's what happened to me.
They didn't tell him anything. They dropped him off.
That's what happened to me.
And so he was like, yeah, I didn't know what to do. And so he ended up sleeping like in like Centennial Olympic Park. He ended up having to do different things just to survive. Right. And I was like, shit, I do not want that to happen to me.
But so the thing is, it's different for guys. Guys can't just go stay with someone.
Right.
But the fact that I'm a woman, it kind of, it hurts to say that. Yeah. It kind of works out a little bit better than me, because people feel a little bit comfortable letting a woman stay with them, especially being at SCAD. So it was just like a thing. Like,
now everybody's a Michael Moore.
You can come stay with me.
Yeah. Everybody get blindsided. So.
But look, my foster mom did the same thing to me, and there was never really a conversation of like, these are your benefits. It was just kind of like, all right, y'all approve the money, I can go. She packed up all my stuff, drove me all the way to Savannah, dropped me off, and I really haven't had a relationship.
Shit, she drove 4 hours
and just dropped you off?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to be that mom where I'm like, we're going to take the tour of the campus, and they're going to be like, can you go? And I'm like...
She did the tour with me,
But even like setting you up in your room, let's go get dinner once you're set up, let's meet your roommate.
Yes.
I want to know, like...
She dropped me off and she left. And then she was like helping me with my phone bill. And she was like, something about she didn't like the way that I was posting things on social media. So she's like, I can't pay your phone bill anymore.
She monitored.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it was like she really didn't really check on me as much as I thought she was. Because like I said, this was the best placement that I've had in my whole experience. Like, she took me to SCAD. Like, that is a big deal. So, but... The relationship kind of ended when I was...
She couldn't have thought that you were going to have it all figured out at 18 going into, like, college. Because even with me not being in foster care, when I tell y'all what I did the first semester, I ate pizza. I didn't want to go nowhere because I was scared I was going to get lost. I'm very GPS savvy. So I'm like... Can't go too far because then I'm not going to know how I'm going to get back. So I'm like, I'm going to just order in. And like that freshman 30 is real. Yes. So, but it was just like me having to get out of my comfort zone. But I still had that support to feel like I can do those things. And it's okay to make those mistakes because you have that support system.
It's interesting because after she dropped me off that first break for Christmas, I didn't know where I was going to go. The dorms were closing, which always happens to me, even till this day. And I asked her, I was like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, can I just come stay with you for the break? So she said yes, and I took a bus up to Atlanta, and she let me stay there. And she made it very clear that I couldn't do that. Like, that couldn't be an ongoing thing.